Who needs an expensive dealership level tool like ISTA, VCDS or Xentry when one tablet can do it all in one fairly easy, fairly inexpensive package? This is the LAUNCH X431 Elite BBA. That last part is actually possibly the most important. BBA stands for Benz, BMW and Audi. This specific model does the full VAG group, so VW, Audi, Lamborghini, Bentley, Bugatti, Skoda and Seat, along with Mercedes, Smart, Maybach and Sprinter vans, plus BMW, Royce and Mini, all from this one little tablet. It's not just basic OBD2 code readers either. This does full module scans with dealership level codes, the same as something like VCDS does for VAG cars, or ISTA for BMWs. You've also got access to a decent list of service functions, things like setting the electric handbrake into the pad change mode, for example, plus a bunch of coding options, like enabling hidden features, or just like outright coding new functions into the various modules. That's pretty impressive for one bit of kit, right? Let's take a quick look at the hardware. This is an Android tablet with a 4-inch touchscreen, a 3000 mAh battery, physical buttons if you would rather, a serial type port at the top for the removable OBD2 cable, and a recessed USB-C port for charging, plus the power button on the top. It's fairly light and almost deceptively small. It does have a sort of hard rubber outer shell, so it should be reasonably durable, plus it comes in a nice little carrying pouch that makes it easy to carry it around or keep it in your glove box or just, carry it with you when you need it. Software-wise, this is just an Android device with a custom home screen and is otherwise locked down. I tested this with both VAG and BMW vehicles, although I'll focus on my Audi S4 for the majority of this video. Once you've got the OBD2 port connected, you want to head to the Diagnose option, select the make of the vehicle, hit OK after all of the spiel, then let it detect the vehicle. Once there, you'll be presented with a list of basically all of the options. The top one, Health Scan, is the all-module code scan. This is where you'll be most of the time. It takes a minute to scan each module, although no slower than VCDS does, and then presents you with a list of all of the fault codes that are present, and then from there you can either look into them further, or like all good mechanics, you can clear them and hope that they don't come back. If you go module by module, you can read all of the live data that you would expect, both as a list and in graphed form. The small display means that you don't get much data on screen at once, but it is still nice to have. It's much in the same way that VCDS lets you view live data, although I don't know if it's any easier because you can't just start typing to search for the data you need. You'll need to scroll down and actively look for the one you want and then tap on it, but I guess that isn't too bad. Next on the list is the special functions. This is things like resetting the service intervals, entering brake service mode, coding a new battery, or things like start and EGR cleaning. Some of the functions, at least when it's connected to Wi-Fi, have an info icon next to them. Clicking that basically just downloads a PDF guide for how to use that function. It's not actually, at least the screenshots in the PDFs aren't from this device. The UI is a bit different, and personally I would rather have that available outside of the device because trying to read a PDF on this tiny screen is a bit of a pain. But at least it's there, I suppose. That is only available for a small handful of the options though. Everything else is a more sort of your guess is as good as mine type of deal. I should note that the functions also don't necessarily apply to your car. For example, I don't have a DPF, but it still shows it as one of the possible options. And the same goes for when you connect it to a BMW, you get a lot of those special functions as well. Now next are the dangerous options. That's coding. There are technically guided functions, although I was not able to get that to download the required files. And annoyingly, that option to download the file is only available when you're connected to the car and in a diagnostic session. I can't just turn the tablet on now and download that Audi guided function file without being connected to the OBD2 port in my car, which means that the car has to be on the whole time. I left it a good 10 minutes or so, but it still didn't download. and my car's battery isn't great, so I couldn't really leave it much longer. The online functions are basically a one-click coding option that is frankly terrifying, as there is such little information about what it's going to do. You've got a big long list of things that it can code, but no information beyond click to code. I tried coding TPMS, something my car actually doesn't and can't have, and unsurprisingly it just came back and said, well, the module isn't there, try again. This part is genuinely scary to me. You have the real ability to brick your car here, and with such little information available about what it's going to do, I would not want to go anywhere near these options. It seems like you're only one click away from disaster here, and that's not exactly a desirable attribute. As for price, this BBA model is listed for £240 with a £20 off voucher, at least right now, or you can get the exact same hardware just with only Mercedes or VAG or BMW for £144 instead. If you want to add more manufacturers, the built-in store app will happily sell you each one for $46 per sub-brand, at least at the current discounted price down from $89. Oh, and you should also get free software updates for life, which is pretty great. There aren't any restrictions on using this with multiple vehicles either, unlike VCDS, so if you do get the BBA version and end up working on everyone and their dog's car, well, that's perfectly fine with this thing. For £220, this costs about the same, if not less than the 3 or 10 VIN VCDS unit that I have, and for that you get a very similar feature set to VCDS and ISTA and Xentry, all in one device. That's not a bad deal. That's not to say that it's perfect. The screen is tiny, making understanding what's going on difficult. The UI is really pretty basic, and I'd argue is a fair bit more abstracted, which makes it harder to understand what it's doing or what it's going to do. It's a lot more difficult. I prefer using VCDS for certain tasks, and the wealth of information online about how to use VCDS or ISTA is an obvious benefit, although this thing does have essentially pre-programmed one-click modes that you would have to do manually in VCDS, and it's a hell of a lot easier to use than ISTA, so on the whole, I would still recommend this. For coding in particular, I'll likely stick to VCDS, but for keeping a dealer-level scan tool in my car at all times to check fault codes and reset the service intervals, this is my new go-to. I think I would spring for the BBA version too, mostly because I have both VAG and BMWs to work on regularly, but at £144 for the single manufacturer option, that does look tempting for a more regular user. Either way, I'll link to them in the description if you're interested. Of course, with that said, those are my thoughts, but I'd love to hear yours in the comments down below. What do you think of the LAUNCH X431? Is it something you pick up? Would you go with VCDS or ISTA yourself? Let me know in the comments. If you want to see more videos like this one, there are plenty on the channel already, and hopefully I should get around to doing some more sort of car reviews and general guides and things in the future as well. And if you want to see those, feel free to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification icon. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next video.